Hello and welcome to another Hill and Ponton VA Disability Benefits Q&A. I'm back with Carol. Carol, how you doing?
I am great.
She's been traveling, been having a good time, enjoying her life.
Yep.
While we've been slaving away here.
Yeah.
But we're excited to be back together. You know, we had Carrie with me last week, and I feel like we didn't get enough of Carol's perspective on why you should keep on filing stuff. So here we are this week, and we're going to jump back in it.
Yep.
All right. What do we got? Lander, good to see you. Hello, I had a C&P exam August 13, 25. VA still waiting for results from provider. Called the VA to see what's going on with my claim, and they said they're trying to get them but can't. Well, this is from your provider. No, from the provider. Okay, so it wasn't like it was your doc. They told me to call, and they don't care about it. Any advice? Thanks for everything that you do. I imagine he's saying that he called the C&P examiner, and they said they don't care. A bunch of jerks. I mean, I'd call, if you know which one it is, can you call the Inspector General's office for the VA?
I don't know. Doesn't hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I'd call the Inspector General's office. I'd call the line you called again for the VA and complain about whatever it was, if it was ACE or...
This song, I have a feeling that examiner may have left. You know, that's what happens a lot of times. They'll ask the examiner to do a clarification, and that person just doesn't work for them anymore. So I think I'd file a request to expedite because it's been so long, and just anything to get them to move. But this sounds like that's what happened.
And that is too long.
Yeah.
George, why should I claim all 30 conditions at once? I did do this. I'm just curious why. I've been out 35 years. So 30 conditions is a lot.
It's a lot. I tell people to file for all the things that they think are service-connected or secondary service-connected. You don't want to file for things that are not. I know some of my veterans have said VSOs tell them just write everything that's wrong with you down. Don't do that. It needs to be service-connected. So, but if you have 30 legitimate things, I would file them.
Yeah, I to me, that's a red flag. If I see a case with 30, you know, if we're talking about the person has MS or Parkinson's and has all these secondary problems, or they have, you know, they're hit by shrapnel and have 14 different scars. Okay. But 30 conditions to me, what I've seen in the past is there are going to be conditions that are weak, if not completely not related to service. And those cloud the judgment of the adjudicator. And then the good claims, the very strong meritorious claims, end up getting denied. It's kind of like they take the baby out with the bathwater. So, I mean, again, what Carol said, if you feel like you have 30 conditions that are related, great. But if you have
they would give you a rating. You don't want to file for things that are not going to really give you a rating. Right. So things that are important, not.
Yeah, I have never personally seen a case with 30 legitimate claims, meaning that we had evidence and it was shown that they were related to service. I have seen plenty of cases, 30, 45, 60 claims where someone was telling the vet, oh, you stubbed your toe or you walk with a limp. I mean, it has nothing to do with service, and they file. And I think that's a really bad idea. So you're saying why file? Let's take this from another direction. We file all claims at once, all legitimate claims at once, because we want you to get not just the maximum benefits, but also the best effective date. So if you file a couple now, a couple in a year, well, your effective date is going to be staggered, and you're not going to get basically the max amount of money that you're entitled to. So even if you have secondary claims, you have diabetes and you're claiming glaucoma as well.
Yeah.
You know, VA sometimes come back and says, well, you didn't get service connected for diabetes. So what do you think you're doing claiming glaucoma? You file all those at once, because once you get the underlying service connected ratings or issues rated, then you should, you get the other ones and they all go back to the same date.
Why should you file a lot of claims that are legitimately service connected and you can get a good rating? It's because now, because of Barry, our clients are getting far more money than they did in the past under special monthly compensation, SMC, because they'll get 100% for some disabilities. And then these other benefits, once they get aid and attendance, are allowing them to go up higher on the chain. So before we didn't do that. I mean, but now I do that. If it's a legitimate, rateable, service-connected problem, and I think the person ultimately, most everybody needs aid and attendance, because most of these cases are so progressive. I mean, you have peripheral neuropathy, Parkinson's, MS, all of these things are not going to get better.
I don't think ultimately everybody needs aid and attendance. I mean, Carol.
If they
Carol-
live long enough,
Carol
they do.
deals with some of the worst and just most devastating diseases. But
That is true.
there are people out there who, if they get 100%, that's great. And fortunately, they're not going to need 80 cents. So
I take that back.
This group is kind of skewed because you all are so educated. Unfortunately, a lot of you guys are dealing with some pretty significant disabilities. And so we talk a lot about special monthly compensation here,
Yeah.
but I don't think everybody should get that.
You're right.
Just being
You're
honest. All right. AW, my husband finally
Wow.
got SMCT he qualified for. My question to you is about back pay. He was found 100% P&T in 2020, retroactive to 19. He was ready to combine additional 70% for conditions not related to TBI. He's awarded SMCS at that time. He has been in need of regular aid and attendance since before he even filed the claim with the VA. When we learn more about SMC from your YouTube videos, we filed SMCT in 2022. He was granted SMCL, denied T on an intermittent basis, as was set aside in August of 24. After denial, supplemental, I'm confident enough with effort patients, BVA will award back pay to an earlier process. My husband's condition at the time, certainly bad enough that he needed round-the-clock care for his own safety. He met all the criteria required by Alaska decisions. Reading of U.S. Code. Thank you for your time answering my questions. I really appreciate all you do to support our veterans. Well, first of all, congratulations.
Yes.
That is a hard benefit to get, and you had to fight hard, apparently, just watching this, what you did. As far as the earlier effective date, my curiosity would be the 2022 claim you filed, was that within a year of that? I think it was 2021. You got that first decision. Can we go back to the first one?
Yeah,
or two?
I'm not sure when it was finally.
Okay, it's 2020. And then did you have a decision between that rating decision or a request between
Next
that
one,
decision
Nate.
and the 2022 is what I would want to know.
Next one. So you filed in 2022. Yeah, I'd like to know if there were any pending claims.
And I guess there is the possibility of an unadjudicated claim in the 2020 decision if you had evidence in the file at the time of his need for aid and attendance.
Right.
They sua sponte, meaning on their own, decided he needed SMCS. Should they have gone further because the evidence showed that you were constantly giving him aid? So I'd want to look at that because, I mean, if going back to 2022, that's 3 years at T. That's
big. So it could have been an inferred claim.
So that's over $200,000 that you should be getting back to 2022. And then you think 2 more years, it's like that's with another 140, 150,000. So I definitely would be fighting back to 19, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's worth fighting for.
Definitely.
Good luck and great job there. Yolanda Fergus Adams, good to see you. 1 of 8. BVA finally granted my bilateral plantar fasciitis effective 12/2020, but combined it with service-connected bilateral plus planus, stating which was continued at 50% disabling. Is this correct? Shouldn't I have a separate rating? Let's wait. Let's just do these since we've got so many of these. Well,
it's the symptoms.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried
symptoms?
about is the pyramiding. So that's what you're talking about here. And again, I like the fact that you've gone to the regulation. That's impressive. The decision states, wow, functional loss of feet.
Wow.
Okay, so the first question, we would need to show that those 2 foot conditions present through different symptoms.
Right.
Yeah. And so you got to show that the onus is kind of on you. So you need to look at the codes to figure out what code you meet for each of them and show they're different. This is frankly the more interesting part.
Right.
Should it be used for an A&A request? Yeah.
Yes.
I totally think so. And Carol would say, try to use it independent of the PTSD because if you get aid and attendance just for that,
then you can move up the SMC.
Yeah.
So, or actually, I would try to get aid and attendance for PTSD, and then you're up to M, aren't you? Or even below far, because you got M plus L. No, I think no,
it's just feet. It's just
loss of use of feet. Isn't that M once you have L?
No, I mean, yes, additional. Yeah, it should be. All right, what's next? Allows functional loss due to two painful motions, so assigned 10% and minimum. Is that right? They also granted pancreatitis, but combined it with service-connected GERD, which is going to be 10%.
That doesn't sound right.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go back to the third. Maybe we should have done this all at once.
Functional loss of feet, including difficulty. Is this case should be used aid in attendance? And then what's the next one? What's for? Allows functional loss due to two painful motions, so assign 10% and minimum. This is really, this is something I really would have to see because this is so complicated. I'm really sorry, but I think I'm just guessing looking at this.
All right, well, so let's continue on. My pancreatitis is worse than GERD pre-2024. Again, should
Yes.
be separate. Yeah, I think it definitely should be separate, but you need to show through the code how it should be rated. For pancreatitis, VBA stated coexisting digestive conditions may not be evaluated separately, citing medical evidence was not sufficient. VBA also found duty to assist errors during higher level review for two additional issues: my feet, and one was
with your heart, valvular heart disease.
Stating need to develop additional evidence before can properly claim. This is pretense. No. How is it possible for VBA to combine two secondary conditions with a primary rather than standing on its own, as it should be correct? So they can do that, but if you're saying the pancreatitis is worse than the GERD, then you should be rated for pancreatitis, which I don't know if there's 60% rating there. It's a 50% rating, but that's what I would be arguing.
Right. And I was saying if they want to go back and evaluate the valvular heart and other things, then I don't think that's pretense. I think that isn't that a chance to give you a high rating? So if you get L for PTSD, then you get M for the loss of both feet. And if you get a 50% rating well, it depends. Remember, you want to go to O because that would give you R1. So that's why those other things are very important. And the rating you get is very important.
Is there more for? No. And it's Carol's favorite. I deserve.
My favorite.
Hi, I injured my lumbar spine in boot camp. Filed disability claim years later. Had been denied 3 times and going to second CMP soon. My strain has become scoliosis, disc bulging, urinary frequency, depression, bilateral radiculopathy, nearly unable to work. Walk, excuse me. How do I make the best out of my upcoming CMP exam?
Wait, let's go back. Because that's solely on that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, gosh, urinary can give you, remember if I would make sure that I hope you put in those medical articles that show how your back can cause urinary problems. And then I would look at the rating for urinary, because remember, it has to do you change pads? How often do you change pads? Do you get up at night? How many times? So you need to understand and think about your answers, because a lot of times when it's the first time you're asked, you don't even really think. Mm-hmm. So I would make sure I had my answers on there. The radiculopathy sounds like it's pretty severe if you're almost unable to walk. So remember, just your back can give you a very high rating. So you want to make sure that you point out every problem that you have, how consistent it is.
But let's go back to, was it the first one or the one before?
There was one, yeah.
So that to me is putting the horse before the cart, because what we really need to show in your CMP exam is why it's service connected. And you hurt your spine in boot camp. Do we have service medical records of that? Do we have buddy statements? We need something in addition to your statement showing that it's related to service. So we need to get that evidence in front of the examiner. And then we need your evidence, you saying, look, I hurt my back. I was able to get through it, but it hurt me the whole time, and I just kind of powered through, and I can no longer power through. You got to show that there was a continuity of symptomatology, basically that the symptoms never went away.
And remember, it's the continuity of symptoms, not treatment. Okay.
Or diagnosis.
So remember, you want to show them this continued and why it continued and maybe how it affected you, jobs you couldn't do. So that's the way you convince the examiner. It continued to hurt, and this is how it affected me throughout the years. If you went to a doctor, you can say, I went to this doctor for 30 years and he's retired and I can't get the records. Mm-hmm. You just need to prove to them that this wasn't an isolated boot camp incident that went away. Because they'll probably maybe say, well, you're in boot camp and look how much hard work you did after that you weren't complaining about your back. So you need to be ready to make sure you've answered all those questions before she even asks them, he or she.
But your focus is on why it's related to service.
Right.
All those other things are downstream.
Yeah, but unfortunately, they're going to be putting down all of those things.
I mean, if he's been denied 3 times, I'm going to get service connected first.
Yeah.
If you have to appeal the ratings and the secondary issues, that's fine because you're still going to have the same effective date. But I want to get them to admit that it's related. The hardest part of your case is getting them to admit it's related to service. Once you've got that, then we're talking about secondary conditions. We're talking about ratings. You're going to have the evidence for that. That you'll get that.
Okay, number three.
Number three was about PTSD. Had a hearing with VBA judge a year ago this month. I also have PTSD due to MST. Should I mention anything in my CMP exams regarding PTSD? Typically after CMP and judge hearing, now, how long should anticipate decision made? Okay, so you don't need, I would not mention anything about PTSD. I mean,
you don't want to cloud the
these
issue.
are simple people.
Yeah.
They're given simple instructions and you want to fit your problem within those instructions so it doesn't confuse them. Okay. And how long to wait? I mean,
that's the problem. You know, even when you have the hearing, it can be years before you get the decision. That's why you don't want to ask for a hearing. Lots of people have hearings and they're still waiting 1, 2, 3 years later. So if you've got any basis to have it expedited, file that. But other than that, you're just at their mercy.
We see, unfortunately, a lot of veteran service officers always ask for hearings, and it does nothing but make veterans sit and wait forever. Don't ask for a hearing. I mean, I was probably 10 years since I last asked for a hearing. It's just not worth it.
And every time we go to the NOVA seminar, you know, bi-yearly education, if the judges are there, they say, please don't ask for a hearing or your client is going to be waiting forever. I mean, they recognize it and there's nothing they can do. They do the direct appeals. They try to get those out within a year. Sometimes they come out within a couple of weeks. The evidence are coming out much quicker, but these hearing cases are just sitting. I have stuff back to 2020 sitting. And I didn't ask for a hearing.
The vet did?
No.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay. Navy vet wife. I'm helping my brother file supplemental claim as secondary to his denied IBS and GERD claims. I have the form 200995 and new evidence, bloody letters, medical articles. These are secondary to service-connected OCD. What was it? Was GERD and IBS?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's great. If you have those articles and you have buddy statements, I think that's a great way to reopen the claim. They're probably, with that information, they should be sending him to a CMP exam.
Yeah.
And, you know, you got to take it from there. Does the examiner give him a fair shot? Do you need to go out and get your own medical evidence? I think it looks like you've done a great homework. So
yeah, it does.
Pearly Earby. Submitted higher level review, which was denied because the VA said that it was on the wrong form. We did not select a form. We submitted this through their website. We selected HLR and answered the question that followed. There was a spot for about 200 characters for an exclamation. The submission. How do we remedy this? His HLR was submitted. Okay.
Cool. You want to use one of the forms like the 4138 that swears whatever you say is true, because that gives you as much room as you need to say anything. But you want to point out, I get at least 5 of these letters a day. You filed the wrong form, and you need to, if you're going to remember, if they didn't understand what you did, you're going to have to be really clear about why it's the correct form. And so you would say on there, I filed a supplemental claim on this date. I got this rating decision on this date, and I filed a higher level review to that rating decision, and therefore this was the correct form. Okay. They've clearly shown they can't figure it out. So you need to explain it to them. If you can't, just file whatever form they want. It's either 0995 or 526. Just get it moving, and then you can go back for the effective date. But I have ones that we've sent in 3 of those letters and still don't have any response at all. So you need to respond within 60 days. They're going to close your file if you don't.
I just kind of imagine a group of chimpanzees handling their mail, and it comes in and they say, I mean, it is maddening that they created all these damn forms and for this, for that, and this, and they can't even follow their own forms. It's like, what are you people doing?
Well, the biggie where I see this in addition to that is when the board makes a decision and grants service connection for something. So they're just granting it. They're not doing a rating or an effective date. So they grant it, and that's a rating decision, and I want to appeal the effective date or the rating, and I file an HRL, and they come back and say it's wrong form because you can't appeal a board decision. That's wrong. So you again have to explain exactly what happened. The board only granted service connection. They did not grant a rating or an effective date. Therefore, I'm able to appeal this. You got to make sure they understand what's going on. And I think they're going to be tons of files where they're open claims.
Yeah, I agree. Like if you did this in the past and got one of these letters, that is an open claim. If you filed the form,
if you filed the correct form, yes.
Alan, is it worth it if you're 100% P&T then to be connected for TBI? For TBI, and if it's serious. I mean, if we're talking about it causes headaches every once in a while, maybe not. But if that's causing memory problems, central nervous problems, I mean, there's all kinds of problems it can cause. So find out how significant it is.
Because remember, then you're looking at SMCT.
Yeah.
So
that's
$11,000 a month.
But you got to show you need somebody helping you in your daily activities on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Happiness. Good to see you. Helping a friend to get his benefits for National Guard. Is it much tougher when you only do it on weekends? He has a few 10% but says they treated him very poorly during COVID, messing with himself. Worth and making him depressed. Sound about right thoughts.
That's hard.
Yeah, it's really, really, really hard. Also, are things moving quicker now government is open, or was there a difference? Can you guys push a caregiver program to make a decision if you represent one of us? All right, a lot going on there. Yeah. For the National Guard, if it's inactive duty, those are really hard claims. You got to show a specific incident that's caused something. Like when I think of National Guard duty, I think of there was an accident versus the discovery of an illness. So like if somebody's twisted their ankle on a fall, got hit by a car versus
high blood pressure,
diabetes. So he would.
So remember, you don't have the presumption of that they're in good health. You don't get that with the National Guard. So that's why all these diseases are not covered. Now, one thing so it's an accident, but say the person has a heart attack. If you can show they were doing heavy lifting or there was a lot of stress, then you may be able to get that covered. But it is very hard. National Guard is not easy.
He'd need something noted in the record or
or
strong
somebody
buddy statement. Showing, he was being bullied, he was being harassed. Caregiver program, it's a black hole.
Yeah.
You're dealing with the Veterans Health Administration versus the Veterans Benefit Administration. They don't know what they're doing. They don't have any structure in place on how to develop and grant benefits. So I kind of think they're making it up as they go along.
They are. I mean, and they will talk about medical records that are 10 years old. They won't have any of the recent medical records.
And they have the damn medical records.
Yeah.
It's the DHA.
Yeah.
As far as, this is not, I'll be flat honest with you. This isn't the kind of case where you'd have an advantage working with us because we know the system. Nobody knows the system on this.
Well, we do know how to prove it.
We know how to prove it.
But we don't know how to move it along because they don't move it along. They just do it when they feel like doing it. And we don't know who is doing it.
Right. It's opaque and it's, scattershot. We just don't know what's going on. They don't seem to know what's going on, and nobody has brought down the hammer on oversight on this.
Remember, that's why it's so important. People may not like lawyers and judges, but that's why it's so important. That's why veterans for years never got any benefits until the court system came in and they started looking over what was being done. And they said, you can't do that. And that's what we don't have at the VBA. The health system doesn't really have any good structure for that.
No. And as far as government being back open, I thought we saw some pretty good decisions coming out. Volume wise,
I was really impressed. You remember the government, the VA saves money in case there's a shutdown so they can work an additional month sometimes. And that's what happened here. Most of the people were actually working up until the end. Now, right near the end, we started losing people. But so that's why we didn't notice what you would have noticed if they hadn't done that.
And you're going to give your shout out to the board?
Oh, and remember, I'm loving the Board of Veterans Appeals. They were asked by the head of the VA
Collins.
Yes, Doug Collins, to stop making decisions during the close down. And the judge said, no, these veterans have waited long enough and we're not stopping. And they kept sending out decisions. So I do have a shout out. Thank you so much for being there for veterans.
She doesn't do that often, so we got to make sure she does it when she does.
I should have.
All right. Alan, will it mean anything if I'm already 100%?
Oh, we already saw that one.
Yeah. So then be service connected with TDI. Lonnie, last week, Carrie, the SMC wizard, had mentioned that if you're rated, this was fascinating.
Yeah.
Rated at N.5 plus K,
Yes.
and you get to R1. My
Yes.
question is, can someone receive R1 without ANA?
Mm.
R1 means you need medical attention. O is the highest you're going to get without the need of somebody to give you some kind of aid and assistance throughout your day.
There may be, but I can't think of one off the
if
top of my
If
head.
you're loss of use of both hands and blind, then yeah, you would jump up there, but you'd also probably need aid and attendance. Marty, I asked local TX employed VSO located in my local VA medical center to pull my CMP results from October 25 sleep apnea exam, denied October 30. He said he cannot do that and that I need to submit a FOIA request.
Get another VSO.
Submitted. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
That's lazy.
Yeah.
That's lazy or incompetent. I mean, it could be that he doesn't have a
or doesn't know how to do it, but that's what the 22A that you signed, giving him right to represent you, allows him to do.
I thought these VSOs could. Yes, they can.
Yes, they can.
Are they prohibited? Nope.
Nope.
I'm frustrated with you. That I don't understand what the hell he's doing if he's not helping you.
You need another VSO. Just go to somebody else. You just sign another 22A that kicks the person off, so you don't have to talk to them.
County officers, you got state officers, VSOs, and then you got DAB, VFW.
All of those.
All of them. Fine. I mean, hell, go through them all.
Meanwhile, also try to call the VA and ask them to send you a copy. Tell them, I just want a copy of the CMP exam.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they'll send it out to you right away. You're not asking for the whole claim file, so it shouldn't take that long.
And I want to make this a bigger point here. We get this from the VA and we get this from VSOs. When you see something that just doesn't seem right, it's good to come here and double check and see what other people think. But it's also good just to, if it's one VSO saying something, go to another VSO, because just like the VA, sometimes these people are lazy or incompetent or
not educated on it.
Yeah. So, these people aren't handing you the gospel. If it seems fishy to you, which this is clearly fishy. I mean, what the hell else are they supposed to do if they can't get you evidence and help you prove your claim? You need to go somewhere else. I
can't tell you how many VSOs I've represented, and they had no idea they were entitled to all the benefits I was getting them. They had no idea. And so I think, how could they have been helping other veterans? And I think that's not because these people were lazy. I don't think they were educated. Who's going to tell them what they can do? And I think that's the real problem. This law is complicated. I just worry if these people are put out there supposed to be experts and representatives. I know. And they're not doing it. I mean, that's not right. It's not right. Oh, okay. Elma, on aid and attendance, do you pay aid attendant when start aid attendant? Okay. Everybody's confused. When you talk about aid and attendance, it doesn't mean that someone's coming in and helping you. It doesn't mean that you're paying somebody. It means I'm claiming that because of my service-connected problems, I can't do the activities of daily living. And therefore, on a regular basis, and therefore the VA should pay me under aid and attendance for that. And then I can hire somebody if I want. So everybody confuses it with saying, well, I don't have somebody, or I'm not paying them, or whatever. That's irrelevant. This is a monetary benefit for you when you meet that criteria. Okay. Contrast that with caregivers. Caregivers is not under the VA benefits section. It's under the health section. And that's when you need help because somebody is helping you and they actually pay that person directly. So the VA health center will pay them, whether it's so many hours a day, so many hours a week. Some people get 24/7 because it's TBI. So that's for the person who's actually doing the work. The veteran is still entitled to their money for aid and attendance. So it's a benefit for everyone. Yeah, I'd say the confusion kind of stems around is how to prove each of these claims is relatively the same. You got to show that you need the aid and attendance through the VBA, Veterans Benefit Administration. You get the benefits of aid and attendance, but
Then if you have an actual caretaker, they can get paid through the Veterans Health Administration. 2 different claims you have to file, but the evidence is the same. So I see how people are getting confused.
And once you get aid and attendance, you should definitely make sure that the caretaker program where you're appealing has a copy of that. I mean, they're going to look at the computer, but they may not. So.
All right, R.L. Hamilton, Hill and Ponton, fantastic reply to Washington Post with your data-driven presentation.
Is this 30 after? Yes. Carol's Corner, please. Okay, this is the time that usually I talk about something, and the thing that was most impressive to me this week was Matthew's response. A lot of you are asking what we think about the Washington Post. You've heard us ramble on. Matt did an incredible, thorough evaluation. Go ahead, Matt.
Wow, yeah. I'm taking that with me. Look at that. She's believing in me. Yeah, I just I made 2 responses. And Nate, hopefully you can put these in the chat box. But we did, I did an analysis of kind of what they did, and where I thought they did a poor job of being balanced. They had all these stats of fraud and all this other stuff, but they didn't look at the fact that there's 900,000 claims denied a year, and they didn't look at what the approval rate eventually of what those were, and whether those denials were fraudulent themselves. And then I also looked at a bigger picture of, okay, there's fraud in every big organization. And that's just something, unfortunately, we have to accept. That doesn't mean that we don't go fight it and find it and root it out. But what it does mean is that you need to look at a comparative analysis. So I did a comparative to the DOD, to Medicare, to Medicaid, to unemployment, and you can actually see that the fraud rates on those are just astronomical compared to the VA. So, the articles were just so disappointing to me because they were so anti-veteran.
Yeah.
And it really disappointed me. On my video as well, I talked specifically about Combat Craig. What they said and did to him, I think, is absolutely despicable. They're picking on this
He's
man.
Dead, and so he couldn't respond.
He can't respond. And the things they said were just really awful. They tried to paint a picture of him being a fraudster, and then trying to get all these other people to get benefits and paying him to get the benefits through these ways that were not legitimate. It was just really, really petty, doesn't even describe it. I mean, it's just really pathetic what they did. So, it gave me a chance to kind of talk about Craig again and what a great guy he was, but then also just stick up for him, because they didn't ask anybody what they thought. He has twice or 3 times as many subscribers as I do. You would have figured they could have reached out to some of those people to say, well, how did you get your benefits? Or what did Combat Craig do for you? Or how much did you pay him? Because I'd say over 90% of the people didn't even pay him. They just went on there, found the content they needed, kind of like y'all do here, and got the benefits they deserve. So really, really disappointed. But the more we can share that video, as we always talk about here, knowledge is power. And I think the more vets who understand why, it's one thing for us to say, oh, that article is awful, it's anti-vet, but it's another thing to be able to quantify it and show big things they didn't, they consider this little thing of fraud, yet here's this hovering mass of 900,000 claims that were denied and never looked at in detail whether they should have been denied. So I just think it's important that we get the word out there about that, so that when people start talking anti-vet, that you have actual information you can rebut them with, versus, our first response was emotional. It was just, we were outraged with how awful this article was. So anyway, hopefully you guys get a chance to look at that and spread the knowledge, because the more people who understand what was not said in that article, the better, so that we don't get the sentiment in America that veterans are just stealing from us. And
no, and this is not an isolated thing that's happening. I think there's going to be a campaign against veterans. This is the start of it. And that's why I think they picked the Washington Post, because most people think, oh, well, this is liberal. They wouldn't be anti-veterans. This must really be bad. The fact that it took them 1.5 years to do this investigation, would take 2 days if they wanted to find out what's really going on at the VA. But they didn't want that. They had a specific goal in mind, and that's what they went after. They're going after you. And you need to know, when people come up and they're going to make comments, you need to be able to rebut exactly what's going on. And like Matt said, first, it's emotional because it is so untrue, but you need to give them the facts. And I think that's what we need to spread. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah. I mean, they're taking these 63 fraud cases and literally trying to paint all of you, anybody who used an outside person to help them, a claims consultant, or so they're anybody who's not. They keep on saying people weren't in combat getting these disabilities, and that's not how Congress wrote this code. They wrote it to include everyone who's in the service because, frankly, and I did say this was probably a jab that was really maybe under the table, but I said, being in service is a little different than sitting behind the desk like a reporter. You're looking at a paper cut for a reporter, whereas you guys are out, you're lifting heavy equipment, you're around big explosions. There's always opportunity to get injured, but you're going through it every day. So, really disappointed in that, as I know you all are as well. And I just think it's super important, as we always do, get the information out there. Knowledge is power. And this is definitely one that y'all need to spread. Oh, I'm getting buzzed by Nate. I already screwed this up. There's a free copy. Oh, Nate, I don't know where that went. There's a copy of the book. Apparently there's yeah, it's right there. The code up there. If you want a free copy of our book on getting service connected, scan that and we'll send you a copy. Again, that's kind of my playbook I've developed over the last 20 years on how to win benefits. I put it all down there. We know we can't represent all the veterans who've been wrongly denied. And it's, our job, we feel, to help as many vets as possible, even if we can't directly represent them. So if you need help as far as just kind of the basics of getting service connection, get a copy of that book. Free.
We'll send it to you free. No strings attached. We just want you to know what your rights are.
All right, back to the show. I was empowering getting to do Carol's Corner. I mean, gosh, my week is done.
Don't get used to it.
CPO deep sea diver. I would highly encourage veterans to get a CMP exam that doesn't reflect what you told the examiner to report them to state medical board on their conduct.
I love that. Yep.
Ooh, or just maybe future exams veterans receive improved quality. I like this a lot. I want to go back to the one who couldn't get a copy of your exam. I'd do that as well. Where the CMP exam hasn't. I mean, it's been like 5 or 6 months, I believe you said, since you had the exam. They won't send out a copy. I would, if you ask them, I mean, you have a duty to ask them, and you did, and they said take a hike. I'd go to the state examiner too. This is a great point here. Thank you, CPO.
That is a great idea, because so many of these examiners are not qualified. They don't care, and they're going to continue to do exams as long as there are no problems with them. So this is your chance to point out that there are problems. That's a great thank you.
Remy 86, good to see you. Hello, I was recently granted 10% for GERD under the old and new criteria, supposedly, but the old criteria would have given me 30%. I put in an HLR, and now VA is asking for an IMO, even though CMP examiner typed in bold on the other CMP exam all symptoms I have, which is all the 30% criteria. Also, the symptoms are in bold at the bottom of my decision letter for a 30% rating. I haven't missed any higher level review of supplemental claim deadlines. I've been consistent continuity of pursuit from 20 to 25, even before the new criteria changed. Does this seem like they're trying to lowball me and make it stick? Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
I think so. I'd take your old CMP exam to the new one and just say, hey, I don't really know what else they're asking you, but look what's in bold here. And
these are all my problems. Yeah. That's why sometimes you don't want to go higher level review. You want to go to the board, because that's all the evidence they would have.
That's a good point, because the board's not going to.
Right. The board's not going to send you back for an IMO mostly. They're going to just make a decision.
Benny, hey, Matthew, now that the VA law judge has a case, how much longer? This is a mystery. You go online and you check your case and you see that it's on the desk of the judge, but we don't know. It's like
sometimes it goes back.
Yeah, sometimes it's back. Sometimes unfortunately, we never know. It's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Dallas, I've been denied for high blood pressure.
No, that
BPH.
Yeah.
My recent PSA tests were high, 2010, 710. Last week, a prostate biopsy shows invasive urethral carcinoma.
Yes.
Should I file a supplemental or a new claim?
And you want to argue that's what you thought. You just file it to make sure you're safe. Okay. But then for an earlier effective date, you want to say, I'm not a doctor. I didn't know what I had. But instead of BPH, I had cancer. Yeah. Okay. But file the claim for sure right now, clarifying that.
Yeah. Thomas, VA rated 0% hypertension, 1224, direct link to toxic exposure. 1125, VA proposed to remove, stating no IMO or link to service. VA did 2 ACE exams, neither addressed toxic exposure linked to service. I thought VA was seeking to increase rating, but seems like they all want to remove the rating. Any idea how to proceed? I'd go back to your decision granting that benefit and look on there and see if there was a finding of fact that you were exposed to some kind of toxic.
Yeah, you went to CMP exam, and then remember, to get that change, they have to show there was clear and unmistakable error.
Right, but I'm saying on the decision itself, if they made a finding of fact that there was exposure, they're stuck with that.
Yeah, and that would have come from the CMP exam.
The rating board can say, oh, you were in this area, you were exposed.
Yeah, but they're not going to. And I've been having a lot of these, and I have to go to the board.
Okay.
It's like they have this year they have started, how can I sever? How can I get rid of all these benefits? And my veterans get upset, but I'm telling them, don't worry. We go to the board, puts it back, and then we continue to go up. Don't let them quash your claims because you're afraid of poking the bear. This is across the board. They're doing this to everybody.
Cassandra, book is the QR card at the top. Just take a picture of it and it'll take a download. Thank you, Cassandra. Terrence, I have an ankle for 30, major depressive disorder at 100, COPD, we don't know what, eczema, I can't say that word right now, eczema, 10%. Can I get SMC1 for first 3 conditions? Should I go for needing ANA? I have used the caregiver program for COPD. Okay, so you were COPD at 100%. Okay. Going for SMCR1. All right, let's go back to the very first part. So if you have 200%, that equals SMCS. But if you are saying that you're already getting the caregiver program, meaning they approved you for that, for the COPD, then you need to file or appeal, if you have an active claim right now, for SMCL aid and attendance for the COPD. That would get you SMCL, and then the mood disorder would get you up to SMCM because that's a full letter bump.
And then I don't know how much you've got, a 30% and a 10%. So that's not going to give you another half. So you just need to look to see if there are other problems that you have that you can file for.
Or if the mood disorder causes the need for aid and attendance, meaning you need to have somebody around because you forget things or you're a danger to yourself, and you have 2 different reasons for SMCL aid and attendance, then that gets you up to R1.
Right. So you can, that's sometimes we get an IMO that shows you need aid and attendance just for the mental, and then another one for the COPD, and those 2 will give you R1, 2 L's. Who would have thought of this?
Amy W., 102, husband was Gulf War vet, rated 70%, 30% for IBS. He was diagnosed with essential tremors. Started shortly after war, and at 56 worsened to affect writing, eating, drinking, using hand tools, etc. He's on 2 meds, but still has bilateral tremors. Would this be best filed as a MUCME? Any advice? Much appreciated. Yeah. Is essential tremors a medical diagnosis, Carol? That's.
I am not sure, but I would definitely file for it. I have had veterans that have gotten that.
Yeah, so file for that. If they say it's not a diagnosis, then it is a MUCME. And basically, MUCME, for those who are Gulf War vets, it's the only, 38 CFR 3.317 is the only area where you can get benefits for an undiagnosed illness. Any other illness, you have to have diagnosed. You actually have to have a diagnosed illness right now. I think he does, though, with essential tremors.
Well, remember, you don't want to limit it to that. You just want to file for tremors, okay? And then see on what basis do they deny it. If they deny it, and if it's not using MUCME, then use that.
This is one of those cases Carrie talks about, to where he just sees denied again and again.
Yeah.
And this is a case where, I mean, this is devastating what this has done to him.
Yeah.
So you need to keep appealing. This is a case I know he'd love to sink his teeth into.
Yeah.
But
the problem is the regional office, they don't know how to do these. So if they deny it, nobody's going to bother them.
Yeah, they don't know the reg.
They don't. And even the board, a lot of those people, they don't understand it.
Yeah. You got a case here. You still have to show that the tremors would have been caused by whatever he was exposed to in service. Could also be caused maybe by medicines from PTSD. I don't know offhand. But yeah, this is a massive disability from what you're saying as far as how it's affecting him, and you need to file and see if you can get this. Antonio, if I was rated 100% P&T under 7110 and received surgical correction with the VA, will the VA reduce my disability 100% P&T?
What's 7110?
I
I haven't memorized those.
Unfortunately, since I don't know the code, I can't speak to that. It might be in the code. Also, I have SMCS as well. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know that one. Greetings all from Walla Walla. Hey to you too, Charlie. Jeff, does the win from CCK about TDIU with the board, does that apply to claims that are in final review after Judge Hassel's seen the case?
Yeah.
Yeah, any case at the board where you're asking for TDIU under extraordinary, it's 38 CFR 4.16B. Basically, you don't have one claim, you don't have one service connection at 60 or more than one at 70. The board can now grant those versus having to refer them over to the center, the whatever it is, director.
Central office.
Central office, yeah.
They're called extra scheduler.
So, yeah.
Just so people who don't understand that, remember, in order to get unemployability, the law says you have to have at least 60% for one rating or combined ratings of 70% with at least one of them being 40%. So if you have not been able to work, but you don't meet that schedule, you say, I have an extra scheduler disability that qualifies me for unemployability. And always in the past, the board could not make a decision unless the regional office had done that first. And for them to do that, they would have to send it to the central office. They would have to make a decision. And then if it wasn't favorable, then you went to the board. The case he's talking about now says you don't have to do that. The board can recognize that and grant it right away.
It's a great case.
Yeah.
Timothy, I have bilateral radiculopathy, 10% lower extremity, 20% lumbar spine. Just got diagnosed with lumbar radiculopathy. Should I file a claim? I'm 70% now.
That's the same thing.
Yeah.
Bilateral radiculopathy means it's coming from the back, the lumbar, going down both legs. So that's what you already have. But maybe you should file for a higher rating if you think that's. Yeah. Remember, you can get 20% for your back, and you can get 40%, 60% for one leg. So those radiculopathy is no small claim. Mm. If you have drop foot where your foot, you can't pick it up, it sort of drags, that could be a 40 or 60% rating.
Sherry, good to see you. Thank you for all that you do for us. Any idea on Carol's quotes? You guys and your merchandise and your sayings, she doesn't need ego boost here, folks. She is robust enough in that category.
Thank you.
Natalie, I had an accident in 92 while in Navy. I am having some dizziness, memory loss, headache issues now. I have several doctors tell me it sounds like TBI. Medical notes from that time talk about all the other injuries, including broken ribs, but don't say anything about a head injury. And I don't remember about 2 years ago, after that injury. I don't know how long I was unconscious. I worry it'll get worse. How likely is it that I can get this service connected without mention of head injury?
You're going to need a witness or someone that was there and can say what happened to you. That's really hard.
If you can't get that, and I agree with Carol, then what you're going to say is this was the accident I was in where I broke my ribs. During that accident, I lost consciousness. When I got up, they addressed my ribs because that was the immediate problem, right? That was the thing they saw that they needed to attend to. Your cognitive issues as a result of that don't have to develop right away. But if you can show there was an incident in service and say, this is where this happened, even if it's not related in the notes, you should still win. But as Carol says, that's a tough road to hoe because the VA is going to say, no, the medical records here only talk about a broken rib. That's why you have to give more detail about how the ribs were broken.
Were you thrown out of the car? Clearly, if you were thrown out, you hit your head.
Yeah. So if you can get a buddy statement, that's the best route. Otherwise, you got to be very descriptive about what happened and what you remember and, being unconscious.
Or if you can get the accident report.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes that helps. Sometimes they have a the ambulance that took you there or report things. 1992 is not, they may have those. When we were dealing with 1960 and 70, you don't have them, but 1992, they may still have some of those.
Alaskan Assassin. I was denied PTSD, anxiety, and depression, but the CMP examiner diagnosed me with anxiety. Should I go for an anxiety secondary service-connected tinnitus? Currently rated only for tinnitus. If that's what you got, that's what you go for, unless you can show that something in service caused the anxiety and you have proof of that in addition to your statement.
And there's no saying you can't go for all of it. You can go for anxiety secondary to service-connected tinnitus, but if you're being treated for PTSD, anxiety, depression, you can I would go back and appeal those as well.
I agree. Michael, I have a higher level review coming up and want to present loss of use. My DBQ doesn't explicitly say no effective function but remains, but poor gait balance propulsion is shown. Should I present that case at HLR or appeal with new evidence? Also have ANA on appeal because they denied it due to not regular spine flares with functional paraplegic symptoms. Whoa.
I'd go to HLR because remember, the person who makes those initial decisions is usually the newest person there. And they're supposed to be the people that do, especially the car high level reviews. They're supposed to be more knowledgeable. And I found we won a lot of our appeals on car higher level reviews where we got nowhere in the initial claim. So I would definitely make sure I gave that a chance. I wouldn't go back to supplemental if you've already got really good evidence.
Yeah, I agree with that. That the last part's key. You have the evidence in there. You need to speak to the evidence. What does it mean that you can't propulse? What does it mean that you can't balance? What does that look like in your day-to-day activities? But if you have a higher level review hearing, you could hopefully flesh that out some.
And a supplemental, all they're going to do is deny you or give you another CMP exam.
Hey, try this over, Doc. You spoke about this. We don't want you to. Willpower. VA says they will cancel my claim if I don't provide civilian medical records, but there are no civilian medical records. The attorney says, don't be concerned, as they just say that all the time.
Yeah, they do. If you put in saying there are no records, you're fine.
No. Kevin, good afternoon. If I was rated 30% for migraines in 2025, but my original claim that started in 2021, totally denied in 2021, not zero, denied, VA says that I was rated 0 and no back pay.
Was that appealed?
Yeah.
That's the question.
A long time.
If you appealed it, then you can ask for a higher. But if you didn't appeal it and there's no legal error there, then you're stuck with when you just filed it again.
Whether it was 0 or denied, it doesn't matter if there's
Right.
no appeal. City Knights, good to see you. How far back does the Berry rule go? Example, someone appealing a claim continuously since 09.
Yes, that's covered.
Take it on back.
Yeah.
It's one of Carol's favorites. When she wins these
I
cases,
love it.
they go way back. Please do a clip showing examples of inferred claims. Oof. Man, those are hard.
Because there's so many.
Yeah, it's not.
And the problem is the VA never infers a claim. Never. I've never seen it. And you have to infer one. Infers or aid attendance, loss of use of feet. It's
they infer neuropathy. If you say, hey,
well, I mean,
diabetes.
that's part of the thing they're supposed to do.
She's given VA enough credit today. We're done with that. All right, DJ Thomas, can I apply for TDIU if the SA approves me for SS? Yes. Can
Yes.
I use the evidence? Yes, you
Yes.
can. Not necessarily dispositive, meaning even though one government agency says you can't work, the other government agency is not bound by that. So don't rest on that thinking, okay, I submitted this, I'm going to win automatically.
It says in there, we are not bound by that, but it is highly probative, whatever that's supposed to mean. Yeah. But it does help.
Michael, one of two, sleep apnea died is direct with stock response following CMP sleep study exam, which diagnosed sleep apnea. Within 1 year of denial, submitted new claim secondary to PTSD with IMO that rebutted original opinion as insufficient, with more likely opinion that my sleep apnea due to PTSD during active duty. Claim denied for not being submitted as supplemental to rebut original denial versus supplemental as secondary. Is the VBA correct or mistaken? If so, does my secondary submittal matter or do I need to address that?
I don't even know.
Man, they can make stuff up like nobody else.
Go
They
to
should
the
be
board.
writing novels.
Yeah, go to the board. Remember, when you're asking for service connection for sleep apnea, secondary to PTSD, you are not going to win at the regional office. You are not. Go to the board. As soon as you have that evidence and you're at a position like the supplemental was denied, go to the board. Don't go to higher level review. You're not going to win. They're just going to give you another CMP exam or just deny you.
Yeah, and the theory of the case does not mean it's a new claim.
No.
It's just a different way to prove the claim that you originally asked for. If that was within a year, that was not a new claim. So I agree with this. Is, again, there's some idiot on the other end of this claim, and the board's your best bet. Jeff again, does the new ruling on TDIU apply for claims? We did this one.
Yeah.
Jason, if a veteran is 100% for PTSD, what should they file for it if they don't like to leave their house and would like it to back pay to the date of 100%?
Okay, so you file, if you just got the decision and it's an initial decision, then you file a CAR higher level review for an earlier effective date. And then for an inferred rating, maybe you can say I should have gotten SMCS because I'm housebound.
Yeah,
So
I agree. All right, let's take 3 more. Sherry, Carol, your hair. Oh my God, Sherry, would you?
We're going to be pen pals.
Sherry, come on, she doesn't need
Thank
this.
you.
Padres Boys, does H&P review intent to file claims before we file? Thank you for all that. We don't do that, unfortunately. We only handle cases that are already denied, typically. Naughty, I think.
Naughty.
Okay.
What?
Lejeune vet, service-connected 3 cancers, mental health, intestinal issues, 100% plus SMCS. Is it worth filing for residuals of treatment? Diabetes, kidney problems, neuropathy in order to protect my wife? Yeah.
Yes.
In this case, Carol and I both agree because those are devastating disabilities. You know, you're not filing for a scar. You're not filing for tinnitus. Those disabilities, unfortunately, could lead to your death.
And you're right, because when you die, the VA is going to say, unless you've been 100% for 10 years, they're going to say you have to prove that a service-connected problem caused or contributed to the death. So I think that can help you in several ways. You know, you may, if you end up needing aid and attendance, that's going to get you higher up the SMC, but it's going to help your wife.
Yeah.
If you die.
That's a really good point. I'm glad you're doing that. All right, we're going to take one more because Sherry was just throwing out.
Love you, Sherry.
Sweet nothings to Carol. So let's do one more here. Tex Roy 1644 VA combined my
T12L1,
so thoracic spine, lumbar spine 1 with my L5S1 injuries and only rated me for T12L1. In essence, I'm submitted 10 claims and only 8 are being adjusted. How should I approach my response? Did they differentiate between thoracic and lumbar spines?
Not really. I don't think so.
I think you're not going to, Carol said this earlier, and what we look for in back cases, the rating for back itself is, they talk about updating the rating codes all the time. To me, the back is so ripe for an update because they rate it by flexion. They don't look at how the back is actually affected in a day-to-day problem. And so what you really got to do is look for other issues to your back. Do you have problems with radiculopathy? It's the next one she talked about. You could get a 40% for each leg on radiculopathy. Do you have problems with urinary, incontinence?
Does it cause depression?
Does it cause depression? Those are the things you want to look for. You're going to fighting around and maybe you go from a 10% to a 20%, whereas the other issues we're talking about can easily get you up to 100%.
Yeah.
So
for a back, whether it's together, thoracic and the lumbar, the most people usually get is 40%, unless
that's rare.
And that's rare unless your back is ankylosed. That means it doesn't move at all. So if you can't move your back at all, then you're going to get a higher, maybe 50, maybe 60. But what Matt said is you're going to get the big ratings from the radiculopathy, from the other things that back problem causes. So you need to look at the rating codes and see, is this worth my while? You need to fight for something that's going to make a difference to you.
Exactly. All right, folks, with that, as always, we appreciate you coming here. We Sea Diver, he had the comment of the day as far as the go tell on those damn CMP examiners that they're not doing what they should be.
I love that.
That's
seriously.
Great. Somebody's got to hold them accountable. Otherwise, we appreciate your time. And if we don't see you next week, if y'all are out with your families, please be safe and traveling. Have a great Thanksgiving. know we're thankful for you. Otherwise, have a great week.